think that's recording now. So this question that for me was question 5, but I know you all would have seen different questions. The with that misprint, there was no right answer you could have selected. The closest answer was 6, which the majority of you selected. The correct answer would have been 7. Most of you selected 6, which I'm going to give you full marks for. And then with the rewording that I rushed out, the correct answer would have been 4, and the other one of you got that. So you all get that marked as correct. And I think that, yeah, I'm not sharing the screen. Yeah. So you all get that mark. So I can, if anybody wants to unmute and talk about that, that's fine. But I have I think that would resolve it, and I apologize for the messing. Is everybody okay with that? Okay. Well, look, I'll issue the results on that tomorrow, I think. So the assignment, how is that going? Is everybody all right? Or should we go through maybe either the brief or the register of queries and responses? I'll see if I can open that up. That might be a good thing to do.
Brian, I just have a quick query, if that's okay, while you're looking for.
Of course, yeah.
The query register. It's just the setting and the scenario what we're looking at. So just to be clear for me, are we looking at this as more or less final detailed design, ready to go assessment, and where we'd be sitting on a HPI or a LEED certification rating? So we're looking at it where we'd hope the finished product would be based on a final design scenario at desktop stage, and the first targeting bit would be sort of like prelim design to feed that. Is that right interpretation, or am I picking up?
No, I think that's a fair interpretation of it. But I actually think the best thing to do is for each of you to note those kinds of assumptions. Okay. So if you were to say, look, I assumed that because the wording kind of implies this, although it's maybe not absolutely crystal clear in it, that the scorecard is a comparison there, or is a scoping. Therefore, we could assume it's slightly earlier in the stage, and then the actual BM exercise itself, you could make the assumption that that's something that is later in the stage. But the reality is this. I mean, we assessments are done. We are doing this before the building is built. Is the general assumption. It's just which stage. There's many stages before a building is built, and which stage are we at? And I know then that there's parts of the BEM that we can't really legitimately claim because they're post construction. Not many of them, but there are some of those. So those would have to be kind of stipulated and described and so on in the report as well. The point here isn't to get the right answer. The point is to get the right method and the right process, and then to indicate what you would do, what information you would supply, and so on. I'm not really interested in what the answer is. I'm interested in how we go about doing it.
Thanks, Mike.
Is that okay? Let me just get the query register up again if I can.
Brian, what extent of deliverables are you expecting for draft submissions to discuss? Are you looking for, I suppose, the scorecards, or is it the draft report that we should have?
I think you should have a skeleton of the main report as well, and even if that is only that you've laid out every one of your headings,
And look at
and
structure.
your sections and the structure of it. Yeah, I mean, it'd be more helpful for you because we're all going to work together on Friday, as far as I understand, and try and dig into what's there. So the less we have to talk, the less we have in front of us, the less good I can be to you in terms of clarifying what I want and what standard and so on. So I would try to rush out, even if you're only even if you only had in your timeline that you can get the first one done. I would try to block out the main one as well. Even if it's only just that you're saying, look, here's the heading we'll have for this impact indicator. Here's the heading we'll have for this category or whatever. That's certainly how when I'm doing reports, the first thing I do is I lay out the headings, and then I go back and start filling them in. And I think it's a good discipline. You can, it's obviously not fine. They can go back and change all those, but um, that's how I do it.
That's great, thanks.
I suppose I'm kind of at a bit of a loss because I don't know what level of academic writing or even report writing you've done, but um, it's fair to say you'd all be pretty handy with Word and how you do paragraph styles and heading styles and the navigator in Word and everything, would you?
For me, it'd be fairly okay. Have you a certain style or format you wanted, like justified space and a half, size 10, 12 font?
No,
Or any
I don't mind
particular?
about that, just as long as it's
Okay.
consistent. No, I'm not thinking about that. I'm just thinking of the shortcuts that you can get in a report if you do use paragraph styles and headings and that navigator bar. And some people are just a bit unaware of that, and they end up, if you want to change the heading, you end up going through every heading and making it bigger or smaller, and that's just a terrible waste of time when there are tools there to do it. But anyway, come back to me if anyone needs help with that, or we can look at it. Sorry, I'm trying to find this thing. No, last time I tried to do this, I couldn't get the recorder back, so I'm going to bring the brief over to here rather than the other way around. So really, it's I suppose what this is trying to do, as you've no doubt figured out, is trying to fit an imperfect set of documents describing a building to a process that wants an awful lot of documents. But we are where we are, so there's kind of questions coming up on things. I suppose for me, what I expected, and you did all ask it in one way or another, is I've only given you one BER cert and I've only given you one Part L cert, and yet the apartments are all different. So how are we marrying that to the other, to one to the other? And I think what I'm saying here is that we are taking those two documents, the VER and the Part L report, and applying those to all the apartments for the residential part. And we're assuming that either it's prorated or we actually assume all the apartments are the same. And again, as long as you tell me what your assumption is, I don't mind which you do. Does anyone want to unmute and tell me if that's clear?
No, that's fine, especially when you want, for me anyway, for following the process. I was about to get stuck into working out areas, but that saves a bit of hassle for each room. So if we just keep them all the same size.
Yeah, but document that that's what you're doing.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
would say when you start into that indicator, the first thing you say is assumption, and I am assuming that every apartment is the same size.
okay,
And then you'll have to probably make other changes for that too.
yeah,
That might be it might be then that your very first the home title, the home tab in HPI spreadsheet is actually you're making that adjustment there in terms of each apartment size, that they're the same rather than the ones that you actually find. Again, I don't mind. I want to see you go right through the process and get to the end of it in a way that's comprehensive rather than that we're getting a score here that we can take to the bank. So this is open. Does anybody want to ask me questions on any of the answers, the answers I provided there?
Are you sharing, Brian? Because we can't see it.
Oh, you can't see. I'm sorry, God, hang on. This.
There was one, Brian, there on the EPDs. It's on number 12 there.
This one.
I suppose I know when I
Okay.
was looking at it, I assumed that we could.
Yeah. This is very difficult because the building was built before this sort of stuff came in, and even though it's a very green building for its time, and I would have expected normally it would score high in LEED or HPI. There just some of the documentation just isn't really there.
For ours, because we're looking at it now, can we assume that we're going to now collect EPDs?
You can, I think, yeah. So that can be a variation on that answer, I suppose, is the best thing to do there. Right, no, that answer is not the right answer for that. That refers to the water runoff split. Oh, that's from there. So where did I put the answer to that? So I'm going to say yes. See, I think with the variations that are allowed through these, assuming one or the other, we'll actually get different studies being done, and that's going to be interesting as well. Okay. Okay, anybody, any other queries? How far have any of you got? Have you got into the meat of it, or are you going to get a good go at it before before Thursday night? In other words, I suppose I'm asking: would there be a lot more? Would there have been a lot more value in asking more questions if this was happening later in the process?
Hi, Brian. I'm still I've done the target setting for HPI and I'm about to start the lead
Okay.
target setting. I've found it a slow enough process, though, that even though we're not supposed to go into much detail for the target setting, in order to respond
Yeah.
to each indicator, you need to go through
Yeah, I do.
all
I know.
the evidence, and so it's taken me quite a long time to.
But is it okay? But is it fair to say then that the groundwork is done for the main part then?
I hope so, and I'm assuming I'll be using HPI for the main assessment. It seems that there's more
Yeah, the more meat on that.
indicators
Yeah.
relevant. Yeah.
And like if you are doing it, and I can see. I mean, I probably wasn't clear enough on this, but I did sort of wanted to trying to set it up that the first part, clearly leads to the second part with the numerical and the spreadsheet work already being done. So then it's a question of the documentation of it in the report. That's what I hope it will be the process, and I hope there's an efficiency will come from that then, that you're kind of backfilling in detail when you get to the main report.
Yeah.
Okay. Look, we can have this out on Friday anyway, and if we'll just decide together what the answers are if there are more things come up. But I think you've probably covered everything. I was either doubtful about that I didn't have enough information in that package for you, or other things that I thought could have come up because of the historical, um, the different standards and different expectations. Okay.
Just one last one. In terms of evidence, you said last week an evidence register is sufficient.
Yeah.
Information you provided in the folders, do you want all that reattached to this, or do you want to
I
document for each indicator?
I think
in the register, you're okay with that?
I think take the file name and what I would expect in a register is, yeah, look, if it's easy to grab it and put it in and put a folder structure in and zip all that up as a submission, that's fine too. And maybe the name of that folder tells me what indicator it is, and here's the evidence for that, and maybe it's as simple as that. Or it can be that you're creating a document like the one on screen, and it's what indicator is it? What's the document name? If there is a file already there, or what is the document type that you would ask for, and then another column saying why you're asking for it and what you expect in it, or if it does exist, what is in it, you know. So it's a commentary, and either call it an inventory or a register or something like that. But if it's as quick to grab something that's in there, and stick the name in the register, or even stick the name on a folder, and that is a logical structure of folders, and that's your submission, that's fine too.
Okay, thank you, Brian.
Okay. Anything else? All right, guys. I'm gonna say that's it. We'll meet on. I don't know where we meet. I'm trying to get talking to Joseph to find out where to do that, but I'll put that on Yammer. Hopefully as soon as I get that clarified. But it's what is it, 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock on Friday? What's the normal time that you do those?
2
2
to
o'clock.
4:30 type
Yeah.
of thing.
Okay. All right.
I'm
Will it
presuming
be
it's
online?
No, it's live. As far as I know, it's a live event. It's the only live event of the course, isn't that right?
I just assumed it was online. I didn't know it was on site.
Do you not do this for the end of every one of your modules?
Not so far.
Not so far.
Oh, I
We have
see.
the day, but we haven't had any of them on site. They've all been online.
Oh, okay. That's All right. Well, I'm coming up to Dublin. Booked my train and everything. Joseph told me that it was the only one that was live. Now maybe he meant before COVID. I don't know.
No, we haven't heard that yet. It might come, but no, all the rest have been all the end of the last Friday. Workshops have all been online today for the last 3 modules.
Okay. So does online suit you better than being in person?
This week does, because I haven't planned for it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm down the country. I'm up in Monaghan, so it's a bit of a trek to head up to Dublin when I hadn't planned to link in other stuff. Normally I'd do work in the morning in Dublin and then go over to
Yeah.
campus.
Sure. What about the rest of you? I can't see if you're doing chats now. I can't see. I'll take that away for a second. Where's my? Is anybody? Sarah, what did you? What would?
I'm fine with either. I probably it's more convenient to do it online, to be honest. But
Okay.
But I can do either. I'm flexible. I'm in
Yeah.
Dublin anyway.
You're in Dublin anyway. Okay. Well, look, I'll hopefully talk to Joseph tomorrow, and I'll try to clarify. I think I'll be running it from somewhere in college anyway. So let's say whoever can come in, and the rest of you can be online. I don't think I'm going to be insisting anything different than that, unless he tells me that I have to. So I'll try to let you know tomorrow. Okay.
Okay,
If I
thanks.
knew tomorrow, Brian, that'd be great. I could probably rearrange. I just looked at the calendar. I could rearrange to work in Dublin on Friday, but if I knew tomorrow, I can plan that then.
Okay. All right. What about the rest of you, Adrian and Paul and Glenn? Are you okay with either? Or
I could travel if we needed to.
yeah,
It would be preferable to do online. But
okay.
I suppose, like, do you want, if it is a case where we're kind of meeting up, do you want kind of a printout of it, or what
Um,
format presenting
Look,
in?
I see us sitting around a table, so I think no, I think we can do it on screen. We'll just bring laptops and stuff. There's no point in printing stuff out unless it's easy. If you have access to an office printer and it's just a button, sure. But I wouldn't do too much trouble over it. We'll plug in a few screens and we can bring things up and work through them.
Right, okay.
Okay. All right. So look, we'll see you one way or the other on Friday.
Thanks, Brian.
Great. Okay. Take it easy. Bye.
Lovely.
Bye.